Shaquan Sami Plummer, known to his family as Nung, was born on the 13th of March 1997. As Shaquan grew older, so did his love of food. He would hover around your plate asking if you'd finished and wanted the rest. Now that the ingredients of strong character, focused, determined, polite, well-mannered, loyal, humble, warm-hearted and good humour, shake it up and you get Shaquan.
In the morning, every Sunday morning, I make the English breakfast for them. This Shaquan used to come and he used to tease me, especially when I cook. Because he used to like chicken backs and green banana just like me, with a lot of pepper and his nose running, and the two of us would sit in the kitchen and eat. When Valentine's Day come, I wish I could have shown you the cards. You know, they go to the pound shop and buy the aftershave and they would give it to Shaquan. You just have to accept it from him, innit? Like they say he was good looking. He was just normal to me. He left home. When he walked down the step, I followed behind him. I'm saying, no, remember to behave yourself. Remember to be a leader, not a follower. And that's when the neighbor said, come on, Jess, leave him alone. You know he's a good boy. Shaquan turned around and said to her, tell her to leave me. He waved goodbye and that was it.
We look at childhood mortality that's going up in trauma. Okay, and we're seeing the visitors and visitees of injury being progressively younger as days go by, as we normalise violence in younger people. And that's, I think, something to be mindful of.
So I moved from South Africa to the UK at the age of 6. The reason why I was in care was because I went through a lot of like domestic abuse with my auntie. So a lot of the times she'd be like drunk and then just out of nowhere just start lashing out. It was traumatic because of the fact that a lot of the times when she would abuse me, she would tell me that she loved man.
Each and every person has got a story, they've got a life, they've lost something in that situation, they're forever changed by it.
I joined the police in '91 as a probationary constable. I was working in East Ham Police Station. As far as I remember, literally from the front steps of the station when I turned around, a big crowd gathered. So when the crowd parted and moved away, and I managed to get through, I could see what was happening. A young man laying on the floor, eyes open, unresponsive. He had a massive cut, a really big wide open gash on his shoulder, and under his left chest was just a very small scratch.
I was on the phone talking to a friend. While talking to her on the phone, I heard that knock on the door. Kept on ringing and ringing. I shouted out. I said, no, use your key and open the door. The person carried on knocking and then knocking and then knocking. I then came to the window here. I looked and outside was a police car, flashing blue lights. Ran down the stairs. I got to the door, I opened the door. There was 2 police officers, a lady and a man. The man came forward, he showed me his ID. And he said, are you Jessica Plummer? I said, yes. Are you Shaquan Sami Plummer's mom? I said, yes. He said, we need you to come to the hospital with us. Shaquan was involved in an accident.
We'll admit to stabbings a day in, day out, week in, week out, week in, week out. So if you look out the window, you see the bits of London you can name. You see the Shard and the Gherkin, and that's where life expectancy is 10 years higher than on the other side of London, where people have a lot more deprivation, a lot more inequality. And it speaks to part of the community who normalise this kind of violence. It's just what happens. You would hope that an injured person would be terrified and reflective and upset and wanting help.
He said, anytime I see you, it's odd. So anytime someone says that, that's a threat. And he goes, oh, what? So we fighting today, yeah? Are we fighting today, yeah? I was like, nah, we're not fighting today, bro. I'm going to the shop and I'm going home. I've carried on walking with my brethren. He's turned around, and as he's turned around, my guys pulled the knife out and tried to stab me from behind. That's when I sort of realized, okay, cool, like, this is not a joke. As soon as my son was born, I just thought, yeah, I can't be doing this anymore.
It was the longest ride ever. I had my fingers crossed at that and I prayed. Not too long after, Shaquan dad came in. He said, "Plumber, what happened?" I said, "I don't know." We still waited and waited. Then we started calling everybody and telling them that Nung was involved in an accident. Within seconds, the hospital was filled with people, family, friends. Then a man appeared in an orange suit. And he came in. I was standing. He asked me to sit down. I said I didn't want to sit down. He asked if I was Jessica Plummer again. I said yes. It took a little while. And then he said to me, "Shaquan died." I couldn't believe it. I said he was lying. Nung did not die. He said yes. He got stabbed.
I'm a titan, a Viking, a Tyson like Mike that might win or might lose. A mentality I crave for actuality, the world is my muse. They never know what I am going to do. I'm a Rubik's with more sides than a cube, but I am fragile.
I didn't really think about it. It was upsetting, but I was in the role. I was doing my job. She dropped to the floor, crying, screaming, shouting, "It's not real. I need to see my son." But I said to her, I'll get you to see your son. And then I had to do probably the hardest thing I'd ever done, because Mum just wanted to give him a cuddle. I had to physically restrain his mum from giving her that.
When you tell a parent their child is dead, it's hard. When you tell a parent who's done all the hard yards, got that kid to adulthood, and they tell them you can't touch them because they're a crime scene, that's hard.
A young boy from West London who never did wrong. He simply misunderstood. Luckily, he missed on the hood. The glitz and glamour was lost on him. He's got problems already. On top of that, he sleeps on a top bunk of a bed he shares with his mum. Never asked for much, but she took care of the funds, but never spared him the fun of a happy childhood. His smile could illuminate the room. Let him ruminate his lyrics in a booth or make the news. 2-bedroom house with his sister that's disabled and a mother that enabled him to see the light. Let's find a common ground. Common sense is lacking in the friends he hangs around with. Young boy from West London, you best love him because he kept running. He wept knowing the tears running down his face would lead him to a better place in life. And he promised to repay his mum for all the struggle and the strife. Life is like a box of biscuits, but in an African household you never know what to expect, because it could be a sewing kit, because you know you've had a lot of stitches. Needle point is the only way that you can paint this picture. Tapestry, happily tap into your ancestry and say they can help me, but first I gotta help myself up off the shelf.
You've got to prove to somebody they deserve your trust. It's not innate, particularly somebody who's been harmed, that you're worthy of that trust. They're vulnerable. They're scared. And we need to make sure we give them the power to put their life again. And it isn't going to happen with me doing a fancy operation. It could be somebody helping rebuild trust. So we have to work much harder to build that trust.
At least one person acknowledge him and not shouting at them. Or somebody to say to them, "You know what? I love you." That's all they want. So there's a lot of work that needs doing, whether it's myself, the community, the police, every one of them, the government, everybody has to find a way to come together for us to create that change.